welcome back to the PWLC kitchen. Today we've got a couple of things for you. We're going to do a Caprese balsamic chicken that's super simple but super delicious. Actually a really great meal to make in the summertime when maybe you don't want to heat up the kitchen. And then we're also going to do some blistered green beans. The two you can definitely put together to make one meal out of it. But I also wanted to do the blistered green beans because they're a great side that you can put really with any meal that you're making. So we're going to start with the chicken. What we've done to start off, it calls for you to marinate the chicken in the balsamic vinaigrette overnight. So we actually just use, regular balsamic vinegar, balsamic vinaigrette. You do want to look for one that doesn't have a lot of sugar added to it. The Primal Kitchen brand is a great one to do. But just marinate the chicken overnight, and then you're actually just going to go ahead and put it into the grill, or in our case, the Ninja Foodie grill. So we use the thermometer. Just going to pop that into the thickest part of the chicken. And then just pop it in the grill, close the lid, and then since we've done it with the temperature probe, it's going to just tell us when it reaches the appropriate temperature. If you're doing this on the grill, depending on the thickness of your chicken breast, you're probably looking at, like 7 to 10 minutes on the grill, just depending on how hot you do it. But it's going to take probably a little bit less than that for the Ninja Foodie grill. So we'll just wait for that to cook. So we just bought a package of green beans, trimmed the ends off of them, washed them, and then make sure they're dry. You can either pat them dry or you can just leave them out to dry. And we're gonna heat our skillet to like a medium-high heat. And then you're actually gonna go ahead and pour them in, and then you're not gonna touch them for a few minutes. This is what actually gives them the blistered look. So they'll kind of have a little bit of brown or black spots on them to where they're a little bit burnt in some pieces. Don't worry, it gives it a good flavor. So just add that into one single layer and then wait about 3 minutes while it cooks. Again, don't touch them, all right? That's the key. All right, so we've waited the 3 minutes. I'm just gonna kind of toss them around a little bit, and then I'm gonna add just a touch of water to the pan and put the lid on. That way they'll steam a little bit. Most people like their veggies not crunchy. I actually like them crunchy, so if you don't want them to be super soft, then don't add the water and don't add the lid on top. But if you want them pretty soft, or at least you don't want them crunchy, add a little bit of water and then put the lid on. Maybe a little more. I just added probably like a tablespoon of water, maybe just ever so slightly more. And then we're just gonna kind of leave them alone and let them steam a little bit. All right, so while the green beans continue to steam, I'm gonna go ahead and flip the chicken because it beeped at us. Already you can see it's got a nice kind of char to it. You guys know I love that, love the crunch. Okay, and then we're gonna put this lid back on and keep cooking. Okay, so the green beans should be pretty well steamed by now, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the lid off. All right, and I'm gonna just stir them around a little bit. We're gonna let them continue to cook just for another couple minutes and let all of the water evaporate out of the pan. That way we can get more of that kind of blistered cooking, and then we'll add our spices and seasonings, and they'll be ready pretty much at the same time as the chicken. So again, just kind of let these cook a little bit longer until all of that water and steam has kind of come out of the pan, and then we'll start adding other stuff. Okay, so all of the water has been evaporated from there. The green beans are kind of starting to blister. So we're gonna go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. We use the Primal Kitchen brand here, but you can use another brand if you wanted. If you want, you can measure 1 tablespoon. I'm just gonna kind of estimate. You'll hear that nice sizzle. And we're just gonna kind of stir it around while it cooks for a little bit, just to get that oil on most of the green beans. Okay, and then we're gonna add a sprinkle of like coarse sea salt. You can really do however much or little you want. I can tell you this recipe would be totally fine without the salt. I think it adds a nice little texture to it, so we're gonna add a little bit. Okay, and just let that cook for probably about 2 minutes. while that oil starts to absorb into the green beans, and then we'll add the rest. Okay, so our chicken is almost ready, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out. You'll see it's gonna have that nice char, primarily because of that balsamic vinaigrette. It's got a little bit of like natural sugars in it that'll help it kind of char. So we're gonna go ahead and add some of the mozzarella and the tomato on top. And actually, let me put these back in, because what we're gonna do is basically just melt it. So we just need a little bit of heat. So put these back in, and what you're gonna do, add some mozzarella on top. And then add a tomato slice on top. Okay, and then just close the lid and let it just melt that cheese a little bit more. If you're using an oven, just stick it back in the oven for a couple of minutes. If you're doing it on the skillet, maybe put it back in the skillet off of the heat and just put the lid back on. That way it'll just melt a little bit, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, we've got a smaller portion of the green beans while the other ones are cooking over here. We're gonna go ahead and add our garlic. It's about 3 cloves minced. So since this isn't our whole thing, I'm only gonna add a portion of that. And then also you're gonna do a half a teaspoon of the toasted sesame oil. You're probably gonna wanna measure this out, because you definitely do not wanna do too much. It has a very, very strong flavor. So a half a teaspoon will be more than enough, okay? And again, I'm just doing a little less since this is not our whole serving. Okay, mix that around. You'll hear it start to pop. We've got a nice smoke going on here. You'll cook that for about 1 minute. Okay, so we've got the garlic mixed in, we've got that toasted sesame oil mixed in, and then we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of the coconut aminos. This is 1 tablespoon for the whole thing. If you don't have coconut aminos, you can use like low sodium soy sauce. It's totally up to you what you use, but this is what we have. So we're gonna do the coconut aminos, also avoiding soy with that, which some people need to avoid. Okay, and then you're basically just gonna toss this around so that it gets on all the green beans. Let it cook for maybe about a minute, and then your green beans will be ready to serve. And our chicken is, that cheese is almost melted, so it'll be ready to serve as well. Okay, so we've got the coconut aminos are mostly cooked in. We're just gonna add some sesame seeds on top, just to give it a little extra crunch. Okay. And stir it in, and your green beans are ready. And let's go ahead and get that chicken. All right, so we've got our green beans ready. Let's check this chicken out. Ooh, looks delicious. So you'll see here that cheese has been melted on top of the chicken. And then what you're gonna do, you're gonna just sprinkle a little bit of chopped basil. This really makes the dish, so don't skimp on the basil, okay? Don't leave that part out for sure. And then we're gonna add a little bit of a drizzle of what's called a balsamic reduction. If you're not familiar with what that is, basically you take balsamic vinegar and you just cook it on the stove until all of the vinegar has kind of evaporated and you get this kind of syrupy texture left. I will warn you, if you do that on your own, if you choose not to buy the balsamic reduction, but you reduce it on your own, it is going to make your house smell like feet, like vinegar, like sweat, whatever. So it's not great, so you may just want to buy it, but if you're really wanting to do the whole step yourself, put maybe like a cup or so, half a cup of the balsamic vinaigrette on the stovetop, kind of cook it on a medium heat until all of that vinegar has evaporated. But we've got the reduction. And we're just going to sprinkle a drizzle on top. Okay, and there you have it. So that's a super quick and easy meal that you can do. It's the Caprese chicken. So again, we just marinated it in the balsamic vinaigrette overnight, cooked it until the chicken was cooked. We added a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top. We added a tomato, we added basil, and then the balsamic reduction. Then we've got our blistered green beans. So we basically just cooked those on a pretty high heat to get them that blistered texture. We added in a little bit of avocado oil, some salt, some garlic, some sesame oil, and some coconut aminos. Just kind of cooked them up until they were ready. And then that's it. It's a really quick and easy meal. Like, I think you'll probably be able to finish this in like 15 minutes from start to finish. So I hope you guys enjoy. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think.